welcome to another video in the Power of the BI podcast. Welcome to another video in the Power of the BI podcast. Today we are talking retail. We're talking retail. So for those of you guys out there that are interested in retail and business intelligence in retail, today we are going to be using probably the biggest retail giant in the world. We're going to be using the biggest retail giant in the world as we talk Power BI. Now, please note that these the data that you're going to be using is going to be totally fictitious data. It's data that myself and my team created in order to be able to provide you with the best Power BI simulation possible. We are going to be actually reviewing the 10K and 10Q reports that are the actual 10K and 10Q report that we found on the internet. So it's not something that we received from the organization, but it is public information. So we are going to be using or reviewing and analyzing the actual 10K and 10Q report. However, the other data that we've created here is only fictitious retail data that we're using or that we created simply for podcast and educational purposes only. Now, before we get started, here's the deal. I have recently launched my Power of the BI podcast on all places where you can stream and download and stream your favorite audio podcast. So what I want you to do is go out there and download the Power of the BI podcast wherever you download and listen to your podcast. We are going live on Power BI podcast every Monday, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So look forward to seeing you there. But with that said, let's jump right on over into today's lesson as we look and we discuss the largest retail, probably the largest, I can't confirm this, but I'm just going off the top of my head, the largest retail giant in the world. Let's get busy.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another lesson in the Power of the BI. Welcome back to another lesson in the Power of the BI. Let's test real quick. Testing. Voices are on. Mic is on. Can everyone hear me? Sal, can you hear me? Thumbs up. We're good. We can see, we can hear. I know we can see because I can see and I can actually hear myself as well. So welcome back to another lesson in the Power of the BI. So here's the deal, guys. We have been We've been working and building out and learning how to build Power BI reports and working on some DAX and things like that. Building out projects using dummy companies. Today, we're actually going to be using one of Fortune's 500 companies, and actually, it's probably the largest Fortune 500. I think it is number one on the Fortune 500 companies list. I believe they did somewhere around $648 billion in revenue last year. That goes to say, we're not going to dig too deep into their finances. We're not going to dig too deep into their business. We are going to look at their annual report for 2024, we're going to be looking at looking at their annual report for 2024. But we're not going to be actually using their actual data on this project. You will be able to find the data set that we are going to be using for Walmart out in the portal. You'll be able to find the data set that we're going to be using. Well, actually the data sets, because there are different data sets that you will be able to build out this case study, and it all depends on which direction you want to take it. And those directions could be, you may want to look at the account, you may want to look at accounting data, you may want to look at operations data, you may want to look at human resource data, you may want to look at just sales data, you may want to look at management data, you want to look at marketing data. And we have I want to say we've got all of those data sets out on the portal. If we don't have all of them out there right now, I know we have 3 out there right now. I know that the operations, marketing, and sales data are all out on the portal. The others will be out there within the next day or so. So if you don't just jump out there right after this class and start building out this project, you will be able to grab those other 2 data sets as well. Again, I do want to emphasize the data sets that we're using, they have nothing to do with Walmart. It's all fictitious data. We made that data up, and we used data of a business. Well, we created data that simulates the business of Walmart. But what I want to do is I want to go through this annual report so that you will be able to understand how to build or how to analyze the data, but not necessarily just analyze the data, but how to determine what data is important to the organization, what data is important to the company that you have been assigned to the business that you are working with, because that's important. It's important to know what data the company wants to use, because the company has like, for instance, if you're talking about a company the size of Walmart with $648 billion in revenue, there's a lot of data that's out there. So the first thing you need to do, when you are coming on with a company or you're working on a contract, assigned to a contract, the first thing you want to know is, one, who are you speaking with? Who are the decision makers on this particular project? Because in an instance such as Walmart, you will find that sometimes you may be talking to the director of marketing, you may be talking to the director of sales, and of course the director of marketing really is not interested in the sales a sales report, and the director of sales is not interested in the marketing report. But if you're talking about a VP of a certain region, they may want to see a scope of the business sector at a very high level, whereas the marketing director wants to see marketing at a high level, but wants to be able to dig into the report down to its minute details. Same for sales. The director of sales is going to want to see sales at a high level, and then he's going to want, or she is going to want to see that information at very minute levels. So you need to know who you're speaking with. So that's one thing you need to do. As you're sitting on those meetings, you're talking to these, and you're being assigned to these projects, you want to jot down, who are you talking to, and who are they? If they're the director of whatever department. And then go to LinkedIn. Go to LinkedIn and see if that person is on LinkedIn, right? You want to get as much information about that person as possible, because then it's going to give you an idea of the type of information that this person considers themselves to be a professional at. So if that person is the director of marketing, of course you have an idea of product, place, price, and promotion of what marketing is. But if you go to their LinkedIn, you will see that they probably, or they may share information on certain types of marketing, right? Same for sales, same for operations, same for accounting and finance. They may share certain types of information. And if that's the case, then you have a pretty good idea of where you can start your report. Because in the very beginning, typically the customer does not know exactly what they want to see. They have a broad idea, but they don't really have a specific report in mind. So you want to narrow down as quick as you can, so that, let me back up. When I say narrow down, you want to give them a specific type of report initially, and then let them determine which direction they want that report to go. You don't just want to give them a broad report on marketing and then say, okay, bring me back in, because when they bring you back in, then they're going to, once you get into where they want to be, then they're going to spread you back out in that direction. So you want to see what kind of report or what kind of report these guys may be interested in, simply by looking at their LinkedIn profiles. Now, they may not have a LinkedIn profile, and that's okay as well, but at least that is a starting point. Now, they don't have a LinkedIn profile. The next step that we're going to do as we are here is, you can see we are looking at the Walmart annual report. This is actually the annual report 2024 provided by Walmart. This is not something that I made up. It is actually a Walmart document. You can go over to walmart.com, go over to the investor relations, and you can grab this as well. And you are not, I do not have, thank you, Shannon, for informing me of that. You are not looking at this annual report, and I need to get you on the report screen. Yeah, you're on the report screen. Yeah, that was a report screen. I'm sorry. So Shannon, I don't know where you were in regards to that, but it's okay. It's okay. Oh, you were looking. Okay, gotcha. Thanks. So when we come, what we're looking at here as we are going through our case study, and we'll have several case studies. Actually, there's six case studies that we will be using within this course, and Walmart being the first case study that we're going to use. So where I want you to be frame of mind when it comes to this is your manager has come to you and said, hey, I'm going to be placing you on the Walmart project, right? And, I've given you an idea already of what the thought process should be of who you're working with, who they are and what they do, and how they, get some intel on who they are as far as going over to LinkedIn. But the next step that you would want to take if you're talking about a major company, and not all the time you're going to be dealing with a major company, but in the cases of our case studies, you will be. In this particular case, we're talking about Walmart. So what I want you to do is go over to their website, go over to their investor profile, and look at their annual report. And the annual report is going to pretty much give you similarly information as you would have been looking for using LinkedIn. But rather than finding the individual information, now you're getting the company information. Because, of course, with a company as big as Walmart, you want to see what is important to them for them to share, that they think is important to share with their shareholders. And you will see as we go through other case studies that a lot of the information when you're looking at the annual reports is going to be super similar, but I'm going to say 35% information or 35% of what you're looking for is not going to be similar. It's going to be specific to that particular organization. So as we're looking here, the one thing that I'm looking at initially is the colors, right? You want to make sure that your report, because even though we're talking about data, we're actually doing a data visualization report. And you want the colors, you want the logo to look on your Power BI project or your Power BI report. You want your logos and your color schemes to match. We're talking about down to the nth degree the color schemes that are used by the company. We touched on design looks on a previous lesson. You can go back to that lesson. But if you have any questions in regards to matching colors and logos, colors and grabbing logos, just shoot me a message and I'll get with you, because we didn't spend a whole lot of time on design, because this is not a graphic design class or course, but graphic design is very important. As I look here, I also see in their visualizations, they're using rounded corners. So in your visualizations, think about using rounded corners. You may not have to use all rounded corners, but you want your report to be very similar to theirs, because branding matters. And branding is not just colors, it's not just logos, it's actually, what type of visualization do they use? And we see here that their squares and their rectangles all have rounded corners. I don't know what degree that is. It could be about 6 or 7, 8 point. That's something that you can play with as you're building out your report. The text. We see here that the text, we want to match this font as closely as possible. Again, if you really want to wow your customer, you want to give them a presentation that's super similar in visual aesthetics as their current document, as their current reports. Now, shortcut. You can ask for their marketing literature, and they'll give you the actual color scheme. And a lot of times they'll give you the logo, but many times you do have to ask for it. Sometimes they're so specific, and a company as big as Walmart, they may just provide that to you. I forgot exactly what it's called, but it's their marketing literature. They'll tell you all the different colors that are approved by their company to use on any report, not just on your report, but any report that their company uses. So remember that. Jot that down, take that note, ask that question when it comes up. Because you do want to know what fonts they use, what colors they use, the logos. And if they have it, they'll give it, they should be able to give it to you. If they're not able to give it to you, you can go back to the previous lesson that we had a while back, and you can grab those colors and the logos. So what I'm doing now is I'm going through and I'm trying to see what information is important to this customer, as far as what could be important information in regards to data that we could build visualizations from. And here, just basic information, registered telephone number, that's not important for us. Documents incorporated, that's not important for us. And now we've got a table of contents, and some of this information we will probably stop on and we will use, but I'm just scrolling through because this is what I would do. If I were going through a brand new customer, just calling that customer Walmart, I would come through, I would see what information is important for this particular customer, development company, and this is all just information here about the company. Looks like aspects of operations. Walmart's business is seasonal to a certain extent. That's just information for the investor. Walmart International segment. Now we're getting somewhere, because now I see that they're about to start breaking this down by segments, competition, distribution. Here we have membership, and this is for the Sam's Club segment. Plus membership is $110. Club membership is $50. Number of add-on memberships is $45 each. Why is that information important? Because this information is important to them, right? Now, those numbers started popping out at me. The plus membership is $110. The club membership is $50. Number of add-on memberships is $45 each, up to 16, up to 8 on the club membership and the plus membership. So here's the deal. This is data this is a visualization that can be created solely for the Sam's Club segment, and that is how many members does the Sam's Club segment have, right? How many members does it have? Now we've got to dive into the database and find that table that shows us how many members the Sam's Club segment have. And at that point, we're only doing a count of the segments. How many of these members are plus members, and how many of these members are club members, right? That's data that we can use on our card visuals if needed. Well, not necessarily if needed, but that's data that we can use on a card visual. The number of plus members, the number of club members. How many plus members did we have last year? How many plus members do we have this year? How many plus members are we projecting next year? Now we're incorporating some AI intelligence into this based on where we are. Same for the club membership. How many club members do we have? How many club members did we have last year? How many club members are we forecasting for next year? Then, how many years of data are we going back? I mean, Sam's Club goes back a long ways. I mean, Sam's was around when I was a kid, right? And I'm from Arkansas, right? I can remember a whole lot about a young Walmart, right? So with that said, how many years back are we going to where we're really comparing this data? Are we going back to 1980? Are we going to 1990? Are we going to 2000? Are we going to 2010? We can be going a long ways. We could be evaluating a lot of data. Now, this is what I want you to understand. I've said this before in other classes, in other classes, but I want to reiterate because this is a great example. It does not matter how big a company is. It does not matter how big the data is. The calculations are still calculated the same way, right? The DAX expressions that we use, they're still used the same way. Whether we have 2 rows of data or whether we have 20 billion rows of data. Okay, 20 billion could be relatively a lot, but let's just say if you got 2 rows of data or you have 100 million rows of data. If you're talking about 1 year or if you're talking about 10 years, if you're talking about 1 year or if you're talking about 50 years, it does not matter, right? Don't get afraid and don't get alarmed about how big the project is or how big the company is or how much money the company made. Does not matter, right? As long as you do what you know to do, you're going to be okay. Okay. I'm not going to beat that dead horse because that's not where we're at. Bottom line is we can count the number of memberships, the number of plus memberships. We can count the number of club memberships. We can count the number of club memberships over the last 5 years or 10 years or 50 years, the number of plus memberships over the last 5 years or 10 years or 20 years. We can create another column and we can say this is the difference in memberships over the last X number of years, i.e. 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and we create a calculated column, and now we're saying, hey, this is going to represent the number of memberships over the last X number of years. And what that's going to allow us to do is that's going to allow us to see how those memberships are increasing or decreasing. We can actually, if we have the data by year, or we can see where this particular club member signed up on a specific day, month, and year. Now we can see how many members we have or how many members were added in a specific month. How many members were added in November, in January, in October? How many members how much did the memberships decrease by in X number of time? And this information is super important to a company such as Walmart because they may see a rapid incline in memberships in September, October, and November because people are getting ready for the Christmas or the holiday season. We can see that memberships could increase somewhat between April, May, and June because membership is increasing because members are looking to spend more in the summer seasons because now the kids are home from school. For whatever the reason may be, these are reasons to dial into, the memberships. And then, of course, the number of memberships is going to tell us, well, we're going to be able to use the number of memberships multiplied times the membership cost to get the revenue of the memberships. Revenue of the memberships, and we know that Walmart was a $648 billion business. How much of that, what percentage of that is?
If you're interested in learning business intelligence, more specifically, if you're interested in learning Power BI, join me on my free webinar this Thursday. You can register at learn.powerofthebi.com/webinar. Again, that's learn.powerofthebi.com/webinar. Totally free. Join me this Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I'm sure you will enjoy and receive something from my totally free Power of the BI webinar. One more time, learn.powerofthebi.com/webinar. Now, back to the lesson.
It's accredited to the plus membership. What percentage of that is accredited to the club membership? What percentage of that is accredited to no membership, but totally just simply shopping at a Walmart store, right? Now, I just gave you a lot of information, a lot of data for you to be able to dive into just using the Sam's Club segment of Walmart. And you will be able to do that as well. If that's how you want to approach this, using the data, the data that we have created for Walmart. Again, remember the data that you're able to access in the portal for Walmart that data is not actual Walmart data. That is data that we made up. It's not data that you go in and you say, I'm going to make buying decisions, stock decisions, anything, financial decisions based on it. This is totally made up data for you guys to use simply to build a Power BI report, not for you to go out there and to use it as actual data or consider it to be actual Walmart data. So as we go, I'm going to look and I'm going to see what else do we have here. Oh, now I see it says merchandise. Sam's Club offers merchandise in the following merchandise categories. And we have all of these categories that Sam's Club offers merchandise in. This merchandise is in addition to the memberships. This is what's qualifying as revenue, right? So it's got groceries, consumables, that includes dairy, meat, bakery, deli produce, all the way down to fuel, tobacco, home and apparel. These are all the products, not all, I'm not sure if they're all, but these are the products under merchandise at Sam's Club that Walmart is saying is at the Sam's Club store within the Sam's Club segment. So again, you will find you will find a data set that you can use to build out this merchandise segment, and this would be a good segment for this would be a good data set for sales. Sales wants to know, what merchandise was sold, how many of those items, how many of those units were sold, how much did those units cost, and how many of those units did they lose? I mean, was anything stolen? Now, I remember being a kid and you go into Walmart and as soon as you walk in the door, you saw the big camera, you saw the big TV up there, you saw yourself walking in, there was cameras everywhere. I don't necessarily see those cameras like that now, but I do see them in some places, but I think the cameras are a lot more hidden. I don't know. But bottom line is, not only are you concerned about sales as a sales manager or a sales director, you're also concerned about loss. How much did you lose? So in the data set, you will see loss. You will see a loss set in the data. You'll see a loss data set as well, where you'll see loss. You will see a loss column in the data set for the merchandise items that are sold, like here at the Sam's Club. So, you can go all different kind of ways there. Again, we're talking about years, how many units were sold, how many pieces of a specific unit were sold this year, last year, over the last 10 years. Then you can take our AI calculations and calculate how much we're projecting for it to sell over the next 1 year, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, whatever the case may be. I mean, nobody else is out there doing what we're doing when we're forecasting and we're incorporating and integrating AI into Power BI from a course level. Now, I'm not saying no one is not using AI in Power BI, but what you've learned from the very basics, from the very beginning of, what is data, what is get data, what is a database, all the way up to now, you're able to incorporate AI into making projections. Unreal. Now, for those of you guys that are saying, hey, I'm not necessarily trying to do the AI piece, that's cool. I mean, here's the deal. Your manager has asked you to take on this task of taking on this customer, Walmart, and building out a Power BI report, right? Now, you do have the build request document for the project, but trust me, the build request document is never enough. It's only a starting point. It's the minimum of what you've got to do. Right now, some companies will tell you that this is all we want, but in this particular case, this is not all we want. What we want to do is we want to rock and shock this thing. We want to put out a project that is incredible, right? We want to put out a project that's incredible because the company wants to bring Walmart back on for more business and continuous business, and it's up to you as the Power BI report developer in order to make that happen. So let's look at some other information here. See what else. Got intellectual property, suppliers and supply chain, government regulation, opportunities, sustainability, community, human capital management. You're going to be able to take some of this information out of human capital management, and you are going to take the data set for HR, and you will be able to build out a Power BI report just on human capital management using the data set that we have. And again, I want to emphasize the data set for human resources is not actual Walmart data set. It is simply data that can be used so that you can build out a Power BI report for this fictitious customer of Walmart. But if you can build out this HR Power BI report, you will be able to build out an HR Power BI report for just about anybody, right? Now, let's see. And again, you can go over to the portal, you can grab that. What I don't want you guys to do is I don't want you to go out there and try to build out every Power BI report, use every data set. No, pull one data set, and that's the director that you're going to be reporting to. And you build out your Power BI report to the ultimate ability that you can for that particular report. Because if you spread yourself thin, well, if you try to do all five, well, I think it's five. If you try to do all five entities, all five data sets, you're going to spread yourself too thin and not be able to provide the best you can do. So what we want you to do is pick one data set, pick one director, and build that report and make it spectacular, right? So that when you go out there, you get ready to interview for your opportunities that are coming up here very shortly, you will be able to use that particular report as part of your portfolio. And again, we're going to have 6 case studies that you're going to be able to use to actually show the reports that you've created, that you've built, and we're not going to guarantee that it's going to get you the job, but we're going to guarantee you that you're going to be in top contention for whatever job you're interviewing for if they're going off of reports, because you're going to have a dynamic portfolio. And let's see what's here. We have risk, and of course you can build a risk report based off of pretty much I want to say the sales data set. You're able to build a risk report, but I don't want to go too deep into risk because some of the KPIs that you'll be using or that you will be needing for risk, we really haven't spent a whole lot of time understanding what those types of KPIs are. You probably will be faced with some of those KPIs as you get on the job. And one thing I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to learn everything in this course, right? This course is designed so that you will, one, understand the basics of Power BI, two, then become an intermediate developer in Power BI. So we're taking you from no experience to intermediate experience in 12 weeks. So I don't want you to think that you're going to learn everything here in this course. You're not. The majority of what you're going to learn is going to be on the job. Now the advantage to that is that when you run up on a situation that you don't really understand or it's really challenging for you, then you can bounce back on us for feedback and direction on which way to go, right? Now, a lot of the directions and of which way to go, you've already kind of figured that out in some of the other projects you've already been working on. But trust me, you're really not gonna get the fullness of not knowing what you don't know until you get on the job and you just really don't know. But we're not gonna stick you out there. You're gonna have some assistance or some direction when it comes down to it. That's all a part of being a part of this program. Let's see here. What else? Unresolved staff comments. Now, the unresolved staff comments, that for those of you guys that are looking to move over into the AI side of Power BI and understanding sentiment analysis, you will be able to build reports using unresolved staff comments and using sentiment analysis, not only for staff but for customers as well. But we'll talk about that later for those of you guys that are moving into the AI side of Power BI. So now we see here we've got properties. We've got properties of Walmart. We got Walmart, U.S. supercenters, discount stores, neighborhood market, and other small formats. Why is this important? This is important because, and this is super important because we want to know how many supercenters there are. We want to know. This is probably more so for the operations director or the regional manager, maybe even a district manager, regional manager, and some of the guys in operations. How many supercenters do we have? How many discount stores do we have? How many neighborhood markets do we have? How many others do we have? And then what are those others? Because even though in this report it says other small formats, in a Power BI report, that regional manager, that district manager, that VP, they're going to want to dig into this thing, and they're going to really want to know what are the others? How many others do we have, and where are those others located? In addition to, where are these stores located? Where are the supercenter stores? Where are the discount stores? Where are the neighborhood stores, and where are the other stores? All that information is inside the data. It's inside the database. So you've got to extract that information out of the database, bring it over into the Power BI report, and then start building out your visualizations based on that, right? This is going to be good information. Now, these are more high level. These are more high level reports, but for a regional manager or a district manager, they may want to drill down into, the merchandise that are sold. They probably want to drill down into the merchandise that is sold in those stores, right? So how many of the stores sold eggs and how many of the stores sold tire tubes? I don't know, whatever the case may be. But this is the information that a regional manager, district manager, VP level is looking at a Walmart store. This is the information you want to provide, when you're looking at that sales level, when you're looking at the regional manager, district manager level. Again, that data is provided over forgot what the slipping my mind, but the information is out there. But remember, that data is only data we made up. It is not actual Walmart data. This is data that we just made up. Do not go try to buy stocks or give any type of influence to your friends or family on Walmart based on the data that you're gonna be receiving from us, because it is not Walmart data. Again, the data we're looking at here, this is actual Walmart data. This is the actual 2024 annual report, and it's available out there to the public. So if you want to go out there and get it, you can. It's at walmart.com. Look under investors, and you can grab it. You see the same thing that we're looking at here. Here we're looking at the stock of Walmart, S&P 500. I'm trying to think. Yeah, you can use this. I'm not sure if this data is out there. We try not to put stock data out there because it could be misleading. But, if you were to use stock data, of course, it's the trend of, what's the price today, what was the price yesterday, what was the price, last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, what's the difference in between those prices and the current price, and then going out and using the AI again to make a projection on what it's going to be in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. For those guys that are going to be moving into the AI portion of Power BI with us, those are some things that you will be exposed to here in the coming months. Fiscal year, total number of shares purchased, same scenario as the stocks. We're not going to get too deep into that because that is a way for us to get in trouble to talk too much about the stocks, and you go out there and make decisions based on what stock price is and come back and find out that that's not exactly what it was meant to be used for. Net sales, percentage of sales. Of course, we already know we're dealing with sales, the regional sales director, regional district sales manager. In this particular case, again, this is the information. This is the type of information we're looking for. But not only are we just looking for net sales, we're looking for net sales of products, those specific units of merchandise that each one of those stores sold. That's what we're looking for when we go into the database for sales. Don't want to seem as if I am minimizing sales too much, but I don't want to beat a dead horse too much. We've talked a lot about what types of data we can use when we're looking at sales. And of course, we have here the financial calculations. So for those of you guys out there that are looking to build out financial reports and budgets, and balance sheets, income statements, this will be the type of report you would use the data sets for to build this type of report. Many accounting guys, finance guys don't really understand how robust and how strong a Power BI report is that's built to an income statement or a balance sheet or financial statements. When using Power BI, you're getting your data back at faster than the snap of a finger, as opposed to having to pivot, unpivot. That Power BI report using that balance sheet income statement using a Power BI report is incredible. So you guys that are out there that are going to be doing that, this is the information that is what you'll be looking for. And of course, it's pretty much the standard information that you would typically see in financial reports. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on their financial reports because that's not what we're here for. We're here to primarily build the Power BI reports. But what we just finished looking at was the Walmart US segment. What we just finished looking at was the Walmart Sam's Club segment. Here we have the Walmart US segment, and you're going to find very similar information for the US segment. They've got an international segment. But at the end of the day, what I really want you to understand is that the data sets that are out there are not actually Walmart data, right? They're not actually Walmart data. This is data that we created that you will be able to use in order to build out these five different data sets to build out these reports. So you've got an idea. You pretty much know how to build a report. Now you know what to look for case study wise when you are building a company report. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take the information that's out there in the data sets and you're going to compare it to what we're looking at here in the annual report so that you can build a Power BI report for Walmart for this particular case study so that you will be able to complete this particular case study. I don't expect for this case study to be completed in a day or a week. A project of this magnitude, I believe that this project probably should have probably about a 15-day window, right? Now, if you were looking to be the single Power BI report developer and you were building out uh, several instances of this report, i.e., more than just what you're going to be building out here. This could be a 6-month, 9-month project. But I just want you to take one data set and build out one page of a Power BI report using one data set and making it super presentable, as if it's as professional as possible, so that when you are getting ready to interview for your particular jobs, you can pull up you can pull this report up as one of the reports on in your portfolio, and wow, ooh, and ah your prospective interviewers or prospective employers. So, with that said, I have said a whole lot. I see there are a lot of questions here in the chat. I am going to answer all of the questions in the chat. I will send out answers to for all the questions out to everyone, so everyone will have all the questions. And of course, those answers are going to be in the answer segment, answer part of the portal. So it's not going to come out via email. It's going to all be in the portal, so you'll be able to go back and look at those questions and answers at any time. And then those most common questions, I'm going to add those to the most frequently asked questions, so that the next classes that come up, they may have those questions as well, and I can direct those guys directly to the most frequently asked question sections in the portal. So I've said a whole lot. I'm not going to make you guys go any longer than where we are right now. If you have any other questions, I look forward to hearing from you, and I look forward to seeing you when